Morning everybody, it's Chris here from Serene Education with the 4 majors analysis update for the 27th of February 2012. I hope you had a great weekend with family and friends. Okay, let's get on to some business. What has the market been doing overnight? Let's have a look at the Euro US dollar on our 4 time frame, starting with our weekly, daily, 4 and hourly. You can quite clearly see that last week we had a lot of momentum to the upside, pretty much cancelling out all this indecision. These spinning tops here at this level here, just roughly around the 13,2500 mark. Clearly moving higher than these previous highs here, and really gaining momentum. In fact, really pushing higher, taking out the prior swing around here, the 13,400 mark. Bit of indecision through here, bit of a consolidation on 2 parts. Notice the CTC is still very much red in this case because we are still very much in a major downtrend. It'd have to be trading above the institution moving average over here at the 13,900 to be all pretty much in an upside trend. If you're looking at the overall trends, if you take wicks to wicks, there we go. If you take body to body, then it's even higher. Okay, so as it stands at the moment now, on the weekly, a lot of concern to the upside. We can pretty much have a look at a potential target. We have 2 bars up, 2 weeks of up, followed by 3 weeks of consolidation, and now we've had a nice upside candle. So this could be our potential trigger. So if you take it to the high over here, to this wick over here, because that's the all-time high, then we had a pullback to this level here, and now we can do a projection. So 61.8 at 134.100 has been breached. 100% of the initial move is ideally the target you would like to take. That will probably end up being roughly where the institution moving average will probably be if you look at in time. This is a projection figure on the fib. So 137.100, 136.50, that could be an ultimate target for us on our daily time frame. Okay, so if you want to mark it down, 136.50-ish on 136.600. So let's go to our daily, and you can see there we go. Break it over, it brings us back to our daily time frame here, back to the institution moving average. You can see the moving average starting to slow in the last couple weeks or so, just going to flatten out a bit, but you can see the nice upside run followed by the pullback for the continuation. So always take the low to the high to the pullback, and then we go 100% will take us back to this 136.50 or 136.700 thereabouts. Okay, so we ideally for a pullback to occur, then we're going to say, okay, well, if it does pull back after this initial upside movement, then let's look for a support area where price would like to find support, or we'd like to see price trading above to give us an indication that we're going to see further upside movement. In this case, 61.8 can be our support. So if that's the case, then we'll just move it along, and that can be our intraday or daily support here at 134.100. Okay, so as it stands now, if you want to use that on your 4-hour time frame, let's put that in 134.100. There we go. You can quite clearly see it's sitting just below us at the moment, and you can see the upside movements over here. And if you wanted to see a potential pullback, these are the highs. You can see the move upside, and we've had a slight pullback here. So let's take these lows to this highs here. There's 23.6, 38.2 just on either side of this pair here. So ideally, if you want price to still maintain these highs in a bullish upside trend, then let's see if price can actually find support above 134.100 to start with. CTC on our daily, our 4-hour and our hourly, very much an upside trend. Blues across the board. 134 on an hourly chart. You can quite clearly see here at the 50-pin period moving average. Notice that we've had a breach of the intraday swing overnight. This is the Asian. Well, last night's open, we had a nice hammer, and then we moved higher. It failed to actually keep those highs. You can see RSI started to fall over. Those highs not getting any higher as we attempted those highs, and price moving back to the downside. That just confirmed that RSI selling contracts were still in favor as we're heading higher. Higher swings to picks trend. You can see here that we have 2 swings now. We've got to see some action in this area here. If we see a bullish engulfing on our hourly chart in the next hour or so and breaks higher than this, we should be looking for the extensions intraday. Okay, looking at sterling now. Let's have a look at the weekly. What do we have? Still upside movements, slight pullback a couple of weeks ago, finding support in an area. Price finding definite support above the 20 period moving average, above here the 15,700, 15,700 mark, and then nice little hammer on there, bullish engulfing the prior the area of resistance, and moving higher. Last week's candle saw a lot of wick to the downside, however not failing to close lower than this 15,750 mark and raising on that. It's actually opening higher and closing higher than the previous week. So all good. But the downside to this is, if you look on our on our daily, we're now still trading into that institution moving average. Previously a real resistance after a while, after a third attempt, saw price really falling lower. This is our third attempt as we speak. A lot of buying sentiment into this one. We really thought the break of this low here we're going to see price just falling away. That never materialized. We saw price reattempting those highs and bouncing very much to the upside. Friday's candle really closing with a lot of momentum to the upside. So if it needs to carry that through, we need to see the 5900 being breached and closed above. That'll take us above the institution moving average as well, and that needs to occur for us to see any indication that we're going to see any further progression long term to the upside. As you can quite clearly see from the low here to the high on the daily, 23.6, that would be our next target if price fell yet again at this area here at 5900, and we'd look to trade back to 1575 as our first potential target. Second target back down to 38.2, which happened to be a very strong support on 2 occasions, and back to the 50 period moving average. Okay, so in order for this to still remain positive, we do need to see 5900 being breached. Ideally 9500 would be a lot better. But as it stands now, CTC is still positive. We're still trading in an upside consolidative range, and it happens to be a positive move. It won't remain so until we actually see price trading above that. As you can see at the moment now, we do have a blue arrow on our blue bar, but this daily bar has not closed yet, so this arrow is null and void until the end of session tonight at 10:30 p.m. As it stands now, you can see that we are seeing a slight pullback. That's only pretty much the case because of the 15,900 mark. If you look at our 4-hour time frame, you put in the 15,900 as the institution moving average resistance. On our daily, you can quite clearly see prices failed very bullish into that, and then pulling back overnight. And that's the case. So how far are we going to pull back? Well, this is another thing we could look at potentially. As I mentioned, you could look at the 23.6. There we go. It's 1575 or 7600 mark, there or thereabouts. Okay, that could be a potential pullback. Back to the 38.2, which will bring us back to the 156600 mark, or the institution moving average, which happens to be our 50 period moving average on our daily. Those potential targets, smaller intraday targets, you could always look at this upside movement. 23.6, if it stays above 23.6 short term intraday, then we should see another retest of 15,900. Failure to find support here at 23.6 on the pullback, then we should look at 38.2, which would take us back down to the 15,800 mark. Failure there would see us retrading back into the 50, which happens to be what coincides with the 23.6 on the daily. So that'll be our the furthest price should actually go, because we're starting to see a lot of support through there. We do need to see a bounce around this area. If we don't see it, then we're looking definitely at 38.2 is our next target long term for this week. US dollar Swiss franc, let's have a look at the weekly. Definitely moving lower now. As I mentioned, 9100, very strong support for this. We need to see a definite breach below that before we looked at any opportunities to the downside. That's occurred, and we're back on here for potentially 8600 again, or back to the institution, the 50 period moving average here at the 8850 mark ish, there or thereabouts, as price moves lower. Weekly, still very much the CTC is in play, but we're still way below the institution moving average, and this is very much in a negative trend. US dollar is still taking a battering against the Swiss franc, and you can see price really moving to the downside now after this consolidation of the hour, this morning or evening star formation here at resistance. Price is really lower. So the daily, quite clearly see We had an all-time high. Take these highs to 9100. The pullback here, the nice shooting star, bearish engulfing at resistance. You can see we've clearly broken through the 900, which happened to the 61.8, which had been your first target after a breach of the 9100 mark. Sorry, second target, apologies. And now we've seen a slight pullback now. If you can stay below 61.8 and 900, then we can see momentum starting to build up, and then we should be looking at 100%, which will take us back down to the institution moving average here, just above the 8800 mark as our final target for this pair. Break below that, as I mentioned, the 86 is the peg area for this currency pair, which coincides with the Euro Swiss francs 120. That would be that'll be the safety net for this pair on the daily. Break below that, then the closer we get to that area, there's more likely that the Swiss government might intervene to try and get this negativity out of the market. As it stands at the moment now, 61.8 in the long term would be our objective. It's been breached, and 100% of that, or you could take this high over here, this current high, to this consolidation here, at the 9100, to this bearish candle here, and you can see 100% has been breached, hence the reason why we're seeing slowdown. So we need to break below that area, close that, and then we'll ideally look at 8800 as our next potential target intraday. So as it stands at the moment now, we are seeing a full extension of this price, and we're seeing consolidation now at the 89.20 mark. So if you wanted to, you could just put that in on your charts. There we go. You can see here on our 4-hour chart, the breakdown, the pullback. There we go. There's 100%. Seeing the slight pullback on this one over here. Okay, this happens to be a move. You can see there's a move, pullback, and the continuation. Take the high to the low and see how far the 23.6 is, etc. If you look at it over here, for example, take from here to the low, because we're clearly seeing a bounce now. Okay, we're trading at 38.2 at the moment now, intraday. This is a 4-hour chart, yes. 23.6 between 2 points. 38, where is that? Let's make it 89,650. So on our hourly, 89,650. 89,650. There we go. Look at all the indecision candles. A lot of spinning tops through here, guys. Fail here yet again. Okay. And a fail to bounce higher would clearly suggest that we should be looking at this little pullback here as just a consolidation pullback as price finds more momentum to the downside, and then we should see price action. We like to see a nice bearish engulfing and to confirm that we should be looking for further downside movement. So give an hour, give or take an hour or so, break below those lows here at 89.40. We should be looking for further extensions lower. RSI is well below the 50 line. We are seeing price pulling back. That coincides nicely with the move here. You can quite clearly see how we are very much in a downside trend. We have broken a major resistance level of support here at 91.10. We're seeing a slight pullback, and now we'd like to see a continuation lower now, another bearish engulfing to really show the momentum. Still looking at 8800. 0.8800 is our final target intraday. Last pair of the day is US dollar Japanese yen. This pair is just taken us all by surprise the past couple of weeks, 3 weeks in particular. Lots of movement to the upside. We are seeing a slight consolidation now on the open. It has opened higher, and we're seeing a slight pullback on the daily. However, this is just been on the weekly. You can see quite clearly we have moved higher and higher and higher, breaking 7800, which happened to be a prior resistance level for so long, then straight into 80, which happened to be a prior support for so long, and breaking straight through that and heading even higher. So as it remains on this pair, really moving higher as the US dollar strengthens. Daily CTC very much in play. All the moving averages have crossed at some particular point. We're trading well above the institution moving average, which has happened, which for a long period of time acted as a resistance level. As I move in, you can quite clearly see we've had extensions. We had a nice move to the upside, a pullback, and then a continuation. Those moves are now being breached, those highs. So you had the pullback. We want to see 100% of that. 100% was breached. Slowdown 161 was the next potential target. We've broken through that too with a lot of momentum on Friday. Just sheesh, really rallying. And now we're sitting with a indecision candle, pretty much favoring the lower end of the Asian going to the European session open. And as it stands at the moment now, if we can hug the top end of this candle here, the prior daily candle at 8100. Found support over there, and then we can see price really building up on that and moving higher. 4-hour chart, look at this, beautiful moves to the upside. 20 period moving average acting as a beautiful support on this pair, and she's been rallying higher and higher and higher, just really moving and then gaining a lot of momentum just recently and pushing even higher on that. So you can quite see the trend lines getting very steep, and now we've seen a slight pullback. Okay, so if you want to look at the 4-hour chart, you can see we've had the low to the high. 8 hours ago we had a nice high here, shooting star, and we're seeing a pullback now. It's trading below the 23.6 pullback. 38.2 would be our next potential target if price can stay above 38.2 intraday on the 4-hour. Here at the 80.40 mark, sorry, 80.900 mark, and we can see price really building up on that. As I mentioned, you can see here at the end here at 8100, price needing to stay above that. If you want to put that in, you can quite clearly see 8100. There we go, which brings it around roughly around the 38.2% mark. So if you can find price finding support above here, and then we should see another extension to the upside on that as price just gains further support and momentum. So as it stands now, the institution moving well below price. CTC blue across the board. The same goes for our hourly. We have a red candle here for consolidation. That's not a problem. We all know that's happening at the moment now. 80, as I mentioned. Apologies, 8100. If price can stay above that, that brings us back to 38.2 on our intraday charts. If we can stay above that, then we should see another reattempt as price moves back up to the high side again. If you see what price has been doing recently, notice these prices here really moving higher, and now we're seeing a definite consolidation to the downside. However, we can maintain above 8100, then we should see price really moving or reattempting those highs here at 8160 and higher as we move forward. So intraday, we're looking for 8100 to remain as support. Notice we've had a number of hours, number of prices just been sitting back above this area. RSI is still well above 50, confirming that we're still in a bullish trend. CTC in our favor. So looking for entry on this one over here. Wait for a nice hammer, bullish, engulfing the prior 4 or 5 hours worth of data just going sideways, and then we should be looking for continuation during the course of the week. That's it, guys. Hope you have a fantastic trading day. As I mentioned, keep it simple at all times. It's far better to do that. Rather wait for the market to give you a clear, decisive indication of what it's likely to do, and then we'll trade that. Okay, and then we'll just make sure that entry and money management are all in our favor, and then we just place the trade. Look for clear, decisive target areas and take those profits when they present themselves in this very volatile market. But I think as price goes, as we head on into this week, we can see some of these prices that we just looked at finding support and resistance at certain areas, and we should be looking for continuations in the direction that they're trading. Until then, trade serenely.